Alrighty, draft fans, we have less than 4 weeks to go until the national draft. It's getting exciting. There's more mock drafts and phantom drafts and power rankings coming out left, right, and centre, which is wonderful. And today, we are going to be having a look at the ESPN phantom draft that has come out. Mock draft, phantom draft, same. So this came out on the 27th of October, so last night. They had previously released some power rankings along the way, but this is their first phantom draft version. So we are going to take a look at that. And like I've said, the reason why we're looking at so many different phantom drafts and mock drafts and power rankings is because there's so much variation to this year's draft. It is really proving to be a fairly even crop and a very hard one to pick outside of the first maybe 1 or 2 picks. Even then, there's not even any real certainty around the second pick. Maybe only it's the number 1 pick that everyone's got locked in to be the same. And that's why I just think it's good to see what all the different phantom drafts look like, challenge everyone's thinking, including my own, and just see what players they have going where. Before we get stuck into it though, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. We've ticked over 4,000. We are on the charge to 5,000. If we can get there by round 1 next year, that'd be massive. I know it's a big ask, but we'll throw it out there. And also, because I know all of you watching do love draft content, make sure you do head to the YouTube page because we do have the video up of the interview with Sullivan Roby, Dylan Alexander and I, and then the interview with Xavier Taylor, Dylan Alexander and I from yesterday. So make sure you get around both of those 2 interviews. They were both fantastic to chat to, and it just gives you a good bit of insight into their footy journey. But with that being said, let's bring up the ESPN Phantom Draft released on the 27th of October, and let's go through it all. So first 2 picks, so interestingly, they haven't got a bid happening in the first 2, which I guess a lot of other people do have the bids happening in the first 2. They're really difficult to place, to be honest. It always is pure guesswork on the bidding front. I would like to think that West Coast would bid on one of the Suns players with at least their second pick, but in ESPN's version, they haven't, so we'll roll with it. So they've got William Dersmer going 1. Again, this is another mock draft / power ranking that's got Dersmer at 1. Still yet to see one that's got anything different. However, as I've said on previous videos, it is interesting to note that this time last year, I don't think Sam Lawler was touted number 1 either, and yet he went number 1. So all I'm saying is things can still change, but he by being Dersmer, seems to be the only common factor amongst all of these mocks that we see, that he is at number 1. Everything else is completely up for grabs. We've got West Coast taking Cooper Duff Tyler at pick number 2, which, I mean, we've seen lots of variation here. We've seen Sharp here. We've seen Roby here in recent times. Duff Tyler has been in at number 2 for a lot of people for a long time. And I know I've said it before, but he's going to be completely fascinating to see where he goes within this draft. They've then got the bids coming through at 3 and 4, courtesy of Bidmond, otherwise known as Richmond. And I really do think we will bid. I think, look, if West Coast haven't bid on the Suns players by then, I actually think this will play out exactly how they've got it here. I can see us doing back-to-back bids to make them cough up and pay. And look, we know now that they have the points to be able to execute matching the bids. What's interesting, though, is there is a little bit of speculation and murmurs that we might be having a look at Jai Murray, who was another Gold Coast-linked player at our pick 38, which will be about pick 32 by the end of it. And they probably almost certainly won't have the points to match a Jai Murray bid at that point in time. So this is why bidding on the players early is important, to absorb all the other picks, to then maybe allow you a sneaky chance to bid on a Jai Murray at 38 or whatever that pick ends up being. So Dylan Patterson, Zeke Ulen going at 3 and 4 to the Suns, which is a great outcome for them, not going to lie. Then we get to the Tigers. Pick number 5, ESPN have Xavier Taylor, who we had on last night. It was wonderful to chat to, coming to Richmond. I think I see more and more people coming around to this idea. I still think getting Xavier Taylor is definitely a long-term future-proofing plan for when Broad and Voston retire. I know a lot of people will argue that we've still got some depth there with, we've got Gibkiss, we've got Miller, Campbell-Gray, Banks, Trainer, and we do, but they're all probably a bit taller than what Xavier Taylor is. Xavier can sort of play on the smalls as well, and it does feel like we have a bit more of a need for someone who can shut down small forwards as well, but Xavier also does have a good offensive side to his game too. And as we spoke to him about last night, he is very keen and very much open to shifting further up the ground. And I think when you read all the draft reports, it does feel like that's where he might ultimately land, it could be a wing or a midfielder of some kind. So I think there's a bit more to his game than just being an intercept defender. I know that's what he's labelled on his draft profile, but I think when you're looking at Xavier Taylor, I think we have to look a bit more broadly than just that position, which is what the recruiters do. They have long-term plans that none of us will ever know about, but that's who they've got for 5. Sam Grill at 6. What was really interesting with Sam Grill was the discussion we had with Dylan Alexander last night and just how highly even he rates Sam Grill with his running ability. His kicking, it's not as bad as what people make out. And the same thing goes for all of these kids. And we spoke about this a little bit, that I think we are, as supporters, a little bit too harshly judging these players or these young kids kicking when watching their videos. I think we're like subconsciously comparing it to the best player in our current AFL team, and that's just not the reality. All these kids kick the ball pretty okay. I think we have to just take it for what it is. If they couldn't kick the ball, they wouldn't be playing Coates League, and that's pretty much as simple as that. But Sam Grill at 6, he's definitely a want and a need on our radar, and where he falls will be interesting as well. And it's interesting because I don't think I've openly heard another club linked to him, other than supporters saying they wouldn't mind him, but it seems like we've been strongly linked to Grill. Obviously, we had him in the VFL too, which was good. And as I've said before, Cal Toomey has been red hot on us taking Xavier Taylor for a while, so we'll see how that plays out. Number 7, they've got Harry Dean, the bid coming in for the Blues. I guess the interesting thing is the little side story playing out that West Coast might bid on him at 1 or 2, which in reality I don't think will happen. I think that's very much a ploy to try and scare them into coughing up their others at pick 9 or whatever other pick it is in some type of trade. It would be, it would turn the draft on its head almost if they bid on him at 1 or 2 and then the Blues didn't match it. It would change the whole dynamic. So that's why I don't think it will play out. Pick number 8, Sullivan Roby, and pick number 9 will go back to back because it's Essendon, Sam Cumming. Roby and Cumming as a duo would be an unbelievable get for Essendon if that was to eventuate a pick 8 or 9. Look, I guess selfishly, I can't see Roby slipping through us if it gets through West Coast, but stranger things have happened. After talking to him the other day, he's a super motivated and driven person, and based on his growth and his size, and there's still maybe a bit more growing to go, and adjustments to his body size, I actually think the ceiling for him is a little bit higher than maybe what we think, and that's why I can't see him getting past us, but if the Bombers walk away with that haul of Roby and Cumming, I think they both complement each other really, really well. That's your midfield / half forward rotation for the future, along with their other midfielders they've got. That would be a huge get. Pick number 10, they've got Dan Annable, the bid coming in for the Lions. Picks number 11 and 12, Dyson Sharp down at 11, and then Lockie Doveston coming in at number 12 for the Ds. Even that'd be a great get as well, a great little 1-2 combo. And we've said it on pretty much every video, so apologies for sounding like a broken record. But the Dyson Sharp positioning is completely fascinating to me. And I don't think it's a slight on him with his performances. I think we all know he's a good player. I think what people are trying to piece together is how does he fit into each individual team with the players they've already got and how it all works. I still think Sharp will go higher than that personally. I think he's going to be in the top 5 or 6. I wouldn't mind him at our club. If he was still there with our pick, I don't think I'd have any qualms in taking him. But for ESPN, they've got Sharp and Doveston, who he's one that is rated quite highly, but again, it's trying to place him into the right side. And with Cosy Pickett doing some midfield work now, you could see a good reason why Lockie Doveston could fit in at the Ds and just create havoc up forward. So I don't mind that. Pick number 13 for the Hawks, Ollie Greaves. This is probably the highest I've seen Ollie Greaves on a mock draft for a little while. Good player. Again, it's just what type of role can someone play for a certain club? Maybe the logic and the rationale here is on the back of Warple leaving. Not at all saying that Greaves will be playing high-level AFL to start with, but obviously that's the projection part of the game. So I can definitely see why that would be an enticing prospect for the Hawks. The other one I kind of had for them might have been Mitch Marsh, but he obviously features a little bit further down. Pick 14 for the Giants, Aiden Schubert. There seems to be about the range, although there's possibly a chance he goes a fraction higher, but that seems to be about the mark. Pick 15 for West Coast, Jacob Farrow. I still think there's a strong chance he goes a little bit higher than 15. I think there's a lot of clubs that would like his player type, left footer, can play midfield, halfback. I guess I don't like using this phrase because it gets thrown around a lot for the wrong reasons, but I do feel like there might be a little bit of Vic bias here in the sense that if he played for one of the Vic teams, I reckon he'd be getting a bit more love. I guess maybe the thought process from just supporters and fans doing mock drafts is maybe clubs get a bit deterred by the WA factor, which I don't think they should be. I think you've got to back yourself. Pick number 16, Josh Lindsay to the Bulldogs. I've seen a few people link Lindsay to the Bulldogs. I think he'd be a really good fit for them, running off half-back. Pick 17, the Crows, Mitch Marsh. It's an interesting selection because we were talking last night with Dill, and I guess the comparison to a Dan Curtin come up as well, playing on a wing. I know Curtin's obviously quite a bit taller than Mitch Marsh, but Marsh is one of the better users of the ball in the draft as well. And I definitely don't think he's just pigeonholed to playing as a forward. So I don't think this clashes with their current forward setup with Fogarty, Thilthorpe and Tex Walker. Although there could be the view he takes over from Tex whenever Tex finishes up. But even in the meantime, I do think there are other positions on the ground that Mitch Marsh could play, which could suit the Crows and any other club for that matter. Pick 18 for the Cats, Javan Filippo. I like the pick, but I don't like it because I can see him having a good impact early. Just in a team that's already well settled, well built, Filippo's going to add a lot of X factor, and you can just see him coming in and doing some really good things straight away. Pick 19 for the Blues. This is in relation to them having some leftover points from the bid, so their pick slides down and gets shuffled back in. Harley Barker. I don't want that to happen. I want him to slide to one of our picks, but it would be a good pick, not going to lie. I know he's going to miss most of the year with the ACL recovery, but the kid can play. He's going to be a really, really good winger. And if they can afford to buy some time, which in this case they would believe they can, then it's going to be worth their while. And pick number 20 is Max King, which is the Swans Academy bid. Now, I didn't have enough room on my page to add these ones in, but their mock draft for ESPN did go a little bit further. I think it went to 27 picks because of a range of bidding. So I'll just read through them quickly. So they had pick 21 was a bid for Collingwood for Zach McCarthy. Pick 22, they got Blake Threadgold, which is one of their natural selections in that range. Blake could be a really good get as well. There's been a few people maybe throwing out that we should have a look at him with our pick in the 30s, but I can see why he would maybe head to Fremantle to help steady up their backline. Pick 23, they got Oscar Taylor for Essendon, which would be a really good get for the Bombers. Pick 24, another bid, Jack Eisen for the Carlton NGA. Pick 25, Essendon bid for Adam Swede. Pick 26, Gold Coast bid, Bo Adensel. And pick 27, so to round out the last pick of the first round, they've got the Hawks taking Noah Hibbins-Hargraves, which, I mean, I feel like that's a bit of a big slide for Hibbins-Hargraves, but again, similar to the Filippo reasoning, having Hargraves slide into an already made established side like Hawthorn, I think would be a quality pick for them. I think he would have an impact almost immediately, and I feel like he's more likely to play a lot more better games and not have his weaknesses exposed as much in that type of side than if he was to come and play for a Richmond, West Coast or Kangaroos where everyone's got to be doing all the heavy lifting while we rebuild at the same time. So that would be a really good pick, I reckon, for the Hawks. But there you go. There's the ESPN mock draft from the 27th of October. A couple of different people in different positions in this one. So let us know what you think in the comments below. They might do another one before the draft potentially. I know there's a few more coming out from some other people in the next coming weeks, which we will take a look at in due course. But yeah, keen to hear everyone's thoughts. Are you happy with who your team has taken in this top 20? Is there someone else you would like? Keen to hear all of that plus more. Let us know what you think. And until the next one, go Tigers.